Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Ashmit Kumar and here are the headlines that we're tracking this evening. Reliance Industries reports record quarterly profits thanks to a one-time gain of 8,900 crore rupees from Asian Paints stake sale. Even adjusting for this gain, profits are up 20%. Rapid store expansion helps retail business revenues rise by 11%. Mukesh Ambani reiterates the group will double in size every 4 to 5 years. Reliance Jio's earnings jumped 24% as average revenue per user improves to nearly 209 rupees. Robust subscriber base expansion also helps. Jio Hotstar reports record revenues of 9,600 crore rupees on the back of a blockbuster IPL. A leadership churn at Axis Bank. Senior executive Arjun Chaudhary resigns, marking the 6th top-level exit in just the last 2 years. Neeraj Gambhir appointed whole-time director to replace Rajiv Anand, who retires in August. All this comes as concerns mount over rising bad loans and slowing loan growth. Sensex and Nifty declined for the third straight week. Financials and defense stocks lead the decline. Mid-cap index bucks the trend to gain 1%. The shortage of rare earth magnets draws the attention of the Prime Minister's office. Sources say the PMO held a meeting with top officials from the Commerce, Heavy Industries and Mines Ministry. India Inc. has been raising the alarm since China restricted the export of rare earths around 3 months ago. The much-awaited GST rate rationalization exercise is likely imminent. From cement to insurance premium to telecom to two-wheelers and tractors, Brokerages are optimistic about significant changes in the tax rates when the council meets next time. Prime Minister Modi likely to visit the United Kingdom next week to sign the free trade agreement. Government sources say Indian and British officials are completing the legal modalities of the deal, which needs to be ratified by the Union Cabinet in India and the British Parliament. European Union targets Russia's oil income in a fresh round of sanctions, imposes restrictions on Rosneft's refinery in India, also lowers the price limit on Russian crude oil. Enforcement Directorate arrests the son of former Chhattisgarh Chief Minister and Congress leader Bhupesh Baghel on his birthday. Chaitanya Baghel, held in connection with an alleged liquor scam case. A Raipur court sends him to a 5-day ED custody. Baghel takes a swipe at the BJP, thanks Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah for giving his son a birthday gift. Facing a fierce backlash from his own supporters, President Trump orders the release of pertinent documents from the grand jury testimony related to Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking case. The decision follows a Wall Street Journal report which claims that Donald Trump gifted a letter featuring a drawing of a naked woman's silhouette and a personal note to Epstein on his 50th birthday. The monsoon exposes cracks in Gurugram's infrastructure. A special report on the continuing agony and urban and rural residents of Haryana's highest revenue-generating district is coming up. Well, straight to the big earnings of the day. Reliance's first quarter net profit surged to a record high, riding on the back of one-time gain of over 8,900 crore rupees from Asian Paints stake sale. Jio's earnings jumped 24% as ARPUs improved to 208 rupees and subscriber base crossed 200 million. Meanwhile, rapid store expansion helped Reliance Retail's business revenues rise by as much as 11%. Mukesh Ambani has reiterated that the group will double in size every 4 to 5 years. Our team of researchers are standing by to take us through the earnings fine print. Sonal, coming to you first, take us through the overall numbers.
Oh yes, record PAT for Reliance Industries in this quarter. Also, another income of 8,900 crore rupees, which was aided by stake sale in Asian Paints. But overall numbers were aided by strong performance coming in from retail, which reported double-digit growth, and so also Jio, which did well on the subscriber and the ARPU front as well. So net profit coming at 26,994 crore rupees, margins at 17.6%, which is an increase on a YOY and on a quarter-on-quarter basis. The EBITDA has also risen on a YOY basis is coming in at 42,905 crore rupees. Important commentary coming in. Mr. Mukesh Ambani mentions that Reliance will continue its stellar record of doubling every 4 to 5 years. The oil to chemicals business did well, but there was a maintenance shutdown, and that's why you could see the decline coming in their revenues. But the outlook is positive. The oil and gas business also saw a decline, but that is because KG basin production was lower, which was largely expected, and that is the reason why you will see oil and gas business, after seeing quarters of growth, saw a decline on a quarter-on-quarter basis. But overall, numbers look good, aided by businesses across the spectrum. And I'll go across to Mangalam now to talk more about the retail business that did really well.
Well, it was the retail business that was the growth driver for Reliance's first quarter performance, and the retail business in this consumer sentiment displayed an 11% revenue growth. The margins improved by about 10 basis points year on year. The 11% revenue growth took it to another quarter of over $10 billion in revenue, and EBITDA grew by a shade higher, 12.5% in terms of growth. And the net profit for Reliance's retail arm grew by 28%, close to around 3,300 crores in the first quarter. Store expansion this time around was 388 stores, but remember, the company has been rationalizing some of the non-performing stores and reducing the square feet as well, which does well for the operation. So despite the overall store area coming down by almost 5% year on year, the revenue per square foot has increased by 16.6%, and that is reflected in the kind of margin expansion that we've seen. A couple of 100 basis points in terms of consumer electronics were impacted by unseasonal rains, but some of their verticals, the emerging fashion vertical, for instance, is up 59%, which includes the likes of JioStar, etc. Shein has over 2 million in app downloads, and a very recent acquisition for the company, or start for the company. JioMart hyper local deliveries as well, 68% quarter-on-quarter growth and 175% year-on-year growth in terms of daily orders. So all in all, a very strong set coming in from Reliance Retail in the current consumer environment.
Well, that's all we have on the big Reliance earnings. Shireen Bhan will join you shortly with the other top stories right after this short break.
Well, straight to the day's market action. The Indian market continued to remain weak as quarterly results flow in. The Sensex down by about 500 points today, and the Nifty closing by about 143 points lower, 0.5% of a cut there. The Nifty Bank lost ground, almost 1% lower today. Financials were the drag in the markets. For the week, the market fell for the third straight week, with financial stocks taking the markets lower. The Sensex, the Nifty and the Nifty Bank all closing in the red, with the exception of the Nifty Mid-Cap closing higher by almost 1%. Now, Axis Bank faces top-level churn. Neeraj Gambhir has been appointed as the new whole-time director. He replaces Rajiv Anand, who's set to retire in August. Senior executive Arjun Chaudhary has resigned as well, marking the 6th senior-level exit from the bank in under 2 years. Now, the bank's concerns have mounted over management exits amidst bad loans rising and loan growth slowing. The bank's stock was down over 5% in trade today after the bank reported a disappointing set of Q1 numbers. Ritu is here now to tell us more. Ritu, Axis Bank's concerns have escalated.
That's right, a top-level churn is underway at Axis Bank. Neeraj Gambhir, the Group Executive of Treasury, Markets and Wholesale Banking, has been elevated to a whole-time director role, designated as ED for a 3-year term. And this move comes, of course, just after Rajiv Anand, who's been the long-serving DMD and whole-time director, is retiring in August. But this is not an isolated shift. Over the past 2 years, or less than 2 years, 6 top executives have exited or are in the process of exiting the bank. The latest, of course, is Arjun Chaudhary, the Group Executive for Affluent Banking, Cards, Payments and Retail Lending, who has put in his papers. Rajiv Anand is set to retire as well. And prior to them, key leaders that were heading retail lending, liabilities, audit, wholesale banking have all stepped away from the bank. And these changes are coming at a time when Axis is facing fresh operational headwinds, especially when it comes to asset quality. In the numbers that the bank has just reported, slippage shock of 8,200 crores of bad loans, nearly double the 2-year average. Even discounting that technical impact that the bank spoke of, these are quite high. Gross NPAs at the highest level in 6 quarters. Credit costs remaining higher than peers, more than twice of HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank, despite having a similar loan mix. All this is triggering concern on the street. You have analysts like Suresh Kanpati of Macquarie, for instance, asking questions like, there have been several such technical credit cost adjustments done in the past. If these are truly technical adjustments, where are the recoveries? Why now? Why not earlier? Could there be an underwriting or collection issue in the retail book? And beyond asset quality as well, if you see growth metrics have weakened for Axis Bank, loan and deposit growth have both lagged the system for multiple quarters. In the first quarter, credit growth at just 8%, deposit growth at just about 9%, again underperforming peers. But perhaps the most dramatic reversal has been in retail lending, once a key growth engine. And this has, of course, also been an issue for the rest of the industry as well. But for Axis Bank, a sharp slowdown from 27% growth in the third quarter of FY24 to just 6% in the first quarter now. So in summary, operational stress, growth, deceleration, all this mixed in with a spate of senior level exits has really put the bank in an uncomfortable spot. And there are bound to be questions, therefore, on what comes next.
Ritu, many thanks. In fact, staying with that, Axis Bank CFO, while responding to Ritu's question at the management conference call, said that about 25% of slippages are from the agri portfolio. Listen in.
So roughly, if you look at what we do is quarter one and quarter three are cyclical. And the way I would request you to think about it is in quarter one and quarter three, about 25% or thereabouts of slippages are from the agri portfolio. So you could apply the maths to 5,400 crores and roughly about 25% or thereabouts would be agri. The percentage would be broadly similar for last year's rupee crore number. The rest of the 75% is coming entirely from the unsecured business. We are very clear in making a call out saying we do not see stress in the secured part of our retail book as on date.
Well, that's Axis Bank. Metal giant JSW Steel, meanwhile, reporting a strong set of earnings. Operating numbers better than estimates. EBITDA up 38%. Margin saw an expansion of 480 basis points as well. That's JSW for you. On to CNBC TV 18 exclusive. Prime Minister Modi may go to the UK next week to ink the India-UK Free Trade Agreement. That has now been official, but it needs to be formalized by way of ratification. Government sources CNBC TV 18 that officials of both nations are currently sealing the legal modalities of the deal, and the deal is expected to double volume of bilateral trade between India and the UK to $120 billion by 2030. Reliance Retail has acquired home appliances brand Kelvinator. The transaction will be valued at around 160 crore rupees, and the deal will strengthen Reliance Retail's position in the consumer durables market. The National Company Law Appellate Tribunal has granted a stay on an NCLT order that directed insolvency proceedings against Reliance Infrastructure. The case was initiated after IDBI trusteeship filed a plea and alleged a default of around 90 crore rupees by the company. The company informed the court that all outstanding dues, including interest, have now been fully paid. China's curbs on rare earth magnets continues, and there has been no breakthrough yet. Sources tell CNBC TV 18 that the Prime Minister's office held a meeting today with top officials from Commerce, Heavy Industries and the Mines Ministries. Now, the electronics industry has also been raising the alarm since China restricted the export of rare earths, and that began about 3 months ago. Ashmit joins us now with more details. Ashmit, so far the focus has been on the concerns of the auto industry. We've had company after company coming out and saying production has been impacted on account of the restriction on rare earth imports from China. China, by the way, has not restricted rare earth imports to India officially. But the electronics sector now says that's also likely to be impacted. What are you hearing?
Indeed, the electronics industry saying that we're feeling the pain as well. In fact, going on to say that the smartphone industry, which was, of course, the poster boy of the electronics manufacturing story here in India, expected to clock $32 billion of exports in FY26. Well, that's no longer assured. That's at strategic and that's at serious risk. That's what the electronics industry is now telling the government. That's indeed true. The Chinese government has not officially imposed any restrictions. However, what the electronics industry is telling the government is that there are oral directions given to Chinese government officials, to Chinese companies, and they've identified 3 critical choke points which are now hurting the electronics industry. The first choke point is rare earth minerals. The electronics industry says, is not unique to the auto industry. they use, electronics industry also uses rare earth minerals, they use magnets, and they're feeling the pain as well. Number two, with respect to recall of Chinese workers, this, the industry says, is directly impacting transfer of technology to Indian companies as well as Indian personnel. The third is restrictions on import of capital equipment. This will directly impact the production is concerned, and this is what has led to concern within the industry. They've now asked for intervention from the government. They've asked for state support in terms of managing this crisis, with a word of caution that if this situation is left unaddressed, well, the entire momentum behind electronics manufacturing in the country could get impacted. With respect to the government's response so far, we've not seen any specific responses or specific initiatives that the government has undertaken to address these anomalies, to address these issues. In fact, highly placed officials within the government, they tell us, is that especially on issues such as recall of workers, these are issues affecting private companies, and therefore it is up to the management of these private companies to address them and take these resolutions forward.
Yes, no breakthrough yet. Thanks very much, Ashmit, for joining us. US President Trump has directed US Attorney General to seek court's approval to release grand jury records related to the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking case. Now, President Trump claimed that he took the decision because of the ridiculous amount of publicity around the case. This comes after a Wall Street Journal report claimed that President Trump gifted a letter featuring a drawing of a naked woman's silhouette and a personal note to Epstein on his 50th birthday. Trump has threatened to sue the Wall Street Journal for the report, calling it fake and defamatory. Israeli forces continue to bombard Gaza. At least 30 Palestinians have been killed in the last 24 hours. These include 5 people who were killed after Israeli forces attacked tents that were sheltered displaced Palestinians. Syrian forces, meanwhile, have resumed fighting with Druze fighters and Bedouin tribes in the southern region of the country. This comes a day after Syrian troops pulled out of the area. A Syrian government spokesperson denied reports that government forces are being redeployed to the same region to stop renewed tensions. Russian troops have claimed to have captured 3 villages in Ukraine as fighting intensifies. Ukraine has disputed parts of the Russian account, particularly those concerning a key southern eastern village. Russia said that its air defenses destroyed 73 Ukrainian drones overnight, including several near Moscow. However, no casualties were reported. What's saying with Russia, the European Union has targeted Russia's oil income in a fresh round of sanctions. Now, the bloc has imposed restrictions on Rosneft's refinery, and that refinery is here in India. The new sanctions also lower the price cap for countries buying Russian crude oil to $50 per barrel. Other measures include sanctions on dozens more vessels in Russia's shadow fleet of oil tankers, so fresh imposition of sanctions by the EU on Russia. The much-awaited GST rate rationalization exercise is likely imminent. Sources tell us the GST Council will deliberate on possibly moving to a 3-rate structure at its next meeting. Meanwhile, brokerages are optimistic about significant changes in the tax rates. Timsy is here with more. Timsy, tell us about what could be on the agenda in the next GST Council meet and the expectations that the brokerages and markets are working with in terms of possible rate changes.
Well, as hopes of GST rate rejig pick up pace, and sources indicate that deliberations have started on shifting items to new rates, also moving to a possible 3-slab structure by doing away with 12% rate under the GST regime. It is anticipated that the upcoming GST Council meeting may take up these proposals for consideration. Meanwhile, brokerages and experts are penciling in an opportunity for significant changes to not only the rates but also the GST structure itself. Brokerage firm Jefferies believes items such as cement can be brought down from current 28% to 18%. Similarly, two-wheelers less than 350cc is also at 28% and could be brought down to 18%. On health insurance premia too, the agency says that it can be brought down from 18% to 5%. For telecom services, Jefferies proposes a rate cut from current 18%, and on hybrid passenger vehicles too, they propose a rate cut from current 28% plus cess, and on processed foods, footwear and apparel, rates could change from current 12% to 5% or 18%, depending upon subcategories. Rating agency Nomura too proposes that term life insurance can be brought down from current 18% to 5%. Tractors can be brought down from 12% to 5%, and air conditioners too can be reduced from 28%. Expectations by Morgan Stanley is to include natural gas under the GST ambit to reduce a lot of costs for the industry and consumers. Brokerages have listed reasons and potential revenue impact on these proposals. To be seen now is whether any of these proposals can actually make it to the council, and yes, whether council will be able to take a decision or not, something that we'll have to wait and watch for.
All right, Timsy, many thanks. Now, the monsoon session of Parliament is set to begin from Monday. The government plans to introduce 8 new draft legislations. There will be a total of 21 sittings of both houses till the 21st of August. Parliament is set to take up the impeachment motion of Justice Yashwant Verma, from whose residence burnt wads of currency notes were found. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju said on Friday that all political parties are on board with the impeachment motion. Ahead of Parliament session, Justice Yashwant Verma himself has moved the Supreme Court, challenging the legality of the process adopted by the Chief Justice-appointed inquiry panel. Verma has sought for quashing the committee's final report against him. The petition has stated that the report's unprecedented public disclosure has led to a media trial and caused irreparable harm to his personal reputation. The plea added that the final report provided no answers of the details of the case. The Enforcement Directorate has arrested the son of former Chhattisgarh Chief Minister and Congress leader Bhupesh Baghel on his birthday. Chaitanya Baghel was held in connection with an alleged liquor scam case. A Raipur court has sent him to 5 days of ED custody. Baghel took a swipe at the BJP, thanked Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah for giving his son a birthday gift. The Enforcement Directorate has also filed a charge sheet against Robert Vadra in connection with a money laundering case. The case is in relation to a 3.53-acre land deal in Gurugram. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi called the Enforcement Directorate's move a witch hunt and denounced the ED's charge sheet. The U.S. State Department has officially declared the Resistance Front as a foreign terrorist organization and a specially designated global terrorist. The TRF is a proxy outfit of the Pakistan-based terror group, the Lashkar-e-Toiba, which claimed responsibility for the Pahalgam terror attack in which 26 civilians were killed. Financing and supporting as well as advising a foreign terrorist organization is considered a criminal offense under the American law. Reacting to the move, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar called it a strong affirmation of the India-US counter-terrorism cooperation. Now, at least 40 schools across Bengaluru and 20 schools in Delhi received similar bomb threats through emails. The messages claimed that explosive devices had been planted in classrooms. Delhi and Bengaluru police deployed multiple teams to inspect the targeted institutions. No explosives were found. Boon for the crops, but bane for the roads. That's what a few hours of torrential rain means for Gurugram, the highest revenue-generating city in Haryana. My colleague Abhimanyu Sharma reports on the continuing agony for urban and rural residents alike due to an almost normalized civic apathy. Take a look.
Currently in Sector 65 of Gurugram, an area which boasts of real estate prices that rival even places like Hong Kong or the Manhattan. Behind me is not a rivulet or a lake, neither is it a special lane created for boats. But this is a brutal reminder for all residents of the Millennium City for 3 to 4 months every year. North India's startup hub is drowning. The Haryana government says it has an investment potential of 1 lakh crore rupees. But residents and experts say this investment potential is under threat, since Gurugram continues to grapple with infrastructure that is crumbling and cracking in just the initial days of the monsoon. While the city boasts of an integrated multimodal logistics hub and aviation hub, an industrial model township, and a network of wide roads and highways, citizens feel there is much to be desired in terms of mere basics.
डेली बहुत ज़्यादा गाड़ी खराब होती है, 100-150 के ऊपर गाड़ी खराब होती है यहाँ पे। टैक्स लेते हैं, सब कुछ लेते हैं, हम भी सभी देते हैं सर आप टैक्स, तो उस हिसाब से रोडों का काम तो होना चाहिए ना सर।
पूरे गुड़गांव में ड्रेनेज सिस्टम नाम की कोई चीज़ है ही नहीं, कोई नदी नहीं, कोई नाला नहीं, कहीं निकासी नहीं पानी की, पानी कहाँ जाएगा?
It's not just waterlogged roads and traffic jams that are a problem. It's that some roads are so badly built that they are disintegrating. In the rural areas of the city, it is worse. Residents say their lives have been disrupted and the authorities have not been helpful.
जितनी हमने शिकायतें सब कर ली, ना कोई पार्षद, ना कोई मेयर, ना कोई एमएलए, ना कोई एमपी, कोई कार्रवाई नहीं हो रही।
सर ये गांव का मेन रास्ता है 22 फुट का, इसी पर सरकारी स्कूल है जिसमें 500 बच्चे पढ़ने के लिए आ रहे हैं। बच्चों को स्कूल के अंदर घुसा ही नहीं जा रहा है, कमरों के अंदर पानी भरा हुआ बारिश का।
The city administration, however, claims it has responded rapidly to waterlogging and has ensured quicker drainage. The state government, meanwhile, is blaming the previous government for this crumbling infrastructure.
बसे हुए शहर में तो नालियां नहीं खोदी जा सकती, तो उस वक्त इन्होंने खोदी नहीं। उस वक्त प्रदेश में ओपोजिशन की ही सरकारें थी।
Experts point out no administration has done enough to plan for drainage systems. They also point out that people have forgotten that over 250 of the 500 plus water bodies in Gurugram have disappeared in the past 40 years due to development. That water is only accumulating where it always has.
Hardly 10 to 20% stormwater drainage are provided. We need a master plan, a drainage plan for the entire city, which gives cognizance to the natural water flow. We do not have adequate funds to maintain the roads.
In a city preparing to challenge the Silicon Valley in startups and innovation, Gurugram's poor infrastructure is a major barrier. Experts add that unless dramatic action is taken, and quickly, residents and investors will not be inclined to call Gurugram home, and the pace of development needed to make this millennium city will not materialize. In Gurugram, this is Abhimanyu Sharma for CNBC TV 18.
Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. Thanks very much for watching. Of course, news coming in from the US as President Trump has posted on Truth Social saying that there's going to be a big signing, and we are given to understand that it's going to be a big signing of cryptocurrency legislations. Remember, President Trump and his administration going all in on cryptocurrency, and that's the big bet that they're taking forward by way of legislation as well. From all of us here, goodbye. Many thanks for watching.